The following spotlight is a short snapshot into the life of Reverend Dr. Raymond R. Wilkinson, Roanoke, Virginia's civil rights pioneer. Good evening and welcome to the spotlight. Tonight we have Danita Wilkinson. I have a problem sometimes saying Wilkerson, but it's Wilkinson.
Yeah.
And tonight, I'll tell you how we got there. So at the church VLF, we had a tribute to fathers, and Danita sent in information about her father, which I then in turn looked up and found out that he was a civil rights pioneer in Roanoke, Virginia. Um, you always find quiet people have things that they don't boast about, but that is something to be very proud of. So, how are you this evening?
I'm doing fine.
Good, good, good. So, we're not going to hold you long, but I do have some questions after. We always find out we have the real public figures um, that fought for civil rights and doing so again because of the current administration. I won't get too political about that.
Mhm.
But sometimes we forget that the NAACP has chapters in every state, and in every state they have them in several cities. And your dad was right there on the forefront of a lot of things that was going on at the time. So, doing my research, I see that he was born in 1923, which was the height of racial injustice, and it was very prevalent at that point. Um, so um, my question is, um, as his child, let's go that way, as his child, how much did he share with you about some of the things that he was fighting for and doing, and um, having a dad that was actually putting himself on the line with something? So, how much did he actually share with you?
Um, he did not share much information with us as he was going through these things. Um, he very much was a father at home. And when he was in the public eye, he was in the public eye. Um, because in his mindset, he was creating a better world for us. And he wanted to more or less protect us from the ugliness of the world that we were kind of growing up in. And because we lived in a middle class Black community, and because of segregation in communities, we very much just saw the aspect of him being a father. Um, most preachers' kids or PKs are raised with very strict rules. We were not. He liked to dance with us, have fun with us. And so we always saw the fun side of him. Um, and we very much didn't see any of that unless we were out in the public with him.
Okay.
Um, if there's been instances where we would see him become enraged about injustice as he's out with us, such as he may We may be on a road trip to visit relatives from Roanoke to Richmond and stopping to get gas. He may want to get us some hot dogs, and we were denied service. And he would become angry and upset. And what you mean I can't buy my children hot dogs? And we would see that. And he would get in the car and he would shoot off, but then he would calm down. But those were the only times that we were like, see things like that. Or if we were denied service someplace or denied this or that. So he raised us to ask questions, not to settle for or accept what is being presented to us. He raised us in the fashion to always ask questions. If you don't like the answers, keep asking. And so those were the kind of instances where we would see that type of injustice. Growing up, it was not unusual to have my father in the newspaper every day. It was not unusual to turn on the TV at dinner time and he was on the evening news. And so we grew up with that, and that seemed very familiar to us. Um, there were lots of absences. He traveled a lot for conferences. And they were ministerial conferences as well as NAACP conferences. He was involved in everything. And our normal routine was that usually on Sundays, after he and my mother would come back from the evening service because babysitter would keep us, it was time to take him to the airport. And that was one of my memories as being the youngest child. My two older sisters were 6 and 7, and 6 or 7 years older than me. So therefore, I would remember going to the airport on Sundays, watching the planes take off. Daddy's gone. A lot of times at night during the middle of the week, he worked with a biracial, he built or basically helped organize a biracial committee of white business owners and other Black professionals in the community. And they would strategize at night because the organization was illegal. And it was a secret as to who the members were. So a lot of times at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning, we would hear the garage door roll up, meaning Daddy's home. He might have left at 8 or 9 o'clock that evening. But those were the type of absences that would happen because he was busy strategizing. He was a very good strategist. And those strategies allowed the civil rights movement in Roanoke to happen peacefully.
Good, good. So, and I didn't say that he was a man of the cloth, and it seemed like the apple didn't fall far from the tree because your grandfather was a ministerial person as well. Did you have a chance to interact with your grandfather?
No, I never met my grandfather. And my grandparents had 11 children. My father was the ninth, and he was the fourth son and the baby boy. He was the only one that his siblings would say he was always preaching to the chickens at 5 and 6 years old. He would come home from Sundays, they would come home from Sunday service and he would make them sit down so he could preach to them or re-preach the sermon that their father had just preached. And my grandfather was very much involved in helping to build a Black high school in Amelia County, Virginia, outside of Richmond, for Black students, because my father's oldest sister had to leave and go to New York after 8th or ninth grade because there was no high school for her to go to. So I think he took a lot of that from his father, more so than the other three brothers, and became a minister and was totally involved in civil rights. One thing influenced him was he was very close to his mother, being the baby boy. And in 1941, my grandmother passed away, and he was only 18 years old. After high school, he left for World War II to join the Navy. His assignment in the Navy and over in Okinawa was to stack the bodies of the soldiers. And that stayed with him all of his life. He made a promise with God that should he make it home after the war, he would dedicate his life to being a minister. So when he came home from World War II at 28 or 29 years old, he went back to seminary school and got his degree in theology, and did the Chitlin circuit around the countries until he was called to preach in Rocky Mount. And he was invited to Roanoke because he was at that time publishing a newspaper. And he was invited to Roanoke by Hill Street Baptist Church to interview to be their pastor. And he was also invited to an NAACP meeting by the prior president. And that's what brought him to Roanoke. And he became pastor of Hill Street for 33 years. And that became his platform as he was elected for president of the NAACP in 1959. And, oh, 1958. And in 1959, I was born. And at that point, he was heavily into the civil rights movement. He was very well known to attend hearings for the city council on different things that were going on in the city with regard to integrating restaurants, theaters, schools, and that type thing. And one of his biggest accomplishments was, and this has to do with environmental as well as the dissemination of Black communities in cities with regard to building interstates and that type thing. But prior to this 1970s and building an interstate through the Black community in Roanoke, there was an area called Washington Park, which was initially owned by the American Indians. And it then became a public area for Black people to communicate and gather and that type thing. Homes were built around there. And the city had a trash dump, sanitation dump, right there in the middle of the community. The students that went to the schools nearby could smell the stench. Lots, even including myself, I had asthma. There were other issues. And my father fought the city of Roanoke for 3 years to try to get them to shut that dump down. Now, there was a fear factor with the city council. At that time, we were now seeing all of those news reels come in from Montgomery, Alabama, Birmingham, people being hosed. And Roanoke, the city of Roanoke, the mayor and city of Roanoke, did not want that kind of publicity to happen for Roanoke. And when my father felt it was necessary or felt that was the last resort, when he said that he was going to organize a baby brigade of mothers with their strollers and block the entrance to that dump if they did not shut that dump down. And because the city council did not want that kind of protest and that type of thing, they agreed to shut it down. It took a minute, but he did get them to shut it down. And they built the trash dump in another area.
I would have
Um,
um,
mhm.
the I wish other people had been cognizant of how it would look in a city. That was nonviolent, which was the way that the civil rights movement was at the time. But I, I'm glad that your father fought for that, and it looked like he found a solution to it, because it may have not have worked deeper in the South, because of the way they were. And yeah, I did the research and I saw that he did have military service, and it's really bothersome to me when I see that um, it's okay for a black man to go out there and fight for his country. Um, and then he comes home, and then there's another fight more at home that's clearly worse than the fight that he was putting in across seas.
Yes.
Um, and now I
Yes.
was going to ask you about his military service, but you've told me about that, and that's something. That's something for the psyche. It's something for your life, period. Um, so I definitely applaud him for doing those things, and to come to Hill Street Baptist and serve for 33 years. That's something. That's something. So it just seems like, and that's what I did in finding my research, that he was quite the man. So, and yet on the website that I was on, he had a broad smile on his face, and that's something to deal with all of the. I don't think I'll be out of tune for seeing the evils of the world and seeing the things that he did, and he could still smile for a picture. I thought that's something. That's something. Um, I'm glad that you brought up the point on the visualization of Roanoke, because that's kind of further north, and they did deal with the injustice more in the southern part. Well, let's say south of Virginia,
Mhm.
but people forget that you know Virginia was still part of that South.
Yes.
Um, so also going with my research, I ran across a speech he did in May 25th of 1963.
Hmm.
Um, Can you tell us about that speech?
And that speech was related to, was it regarding the school desegregation?
That was, let's see, I'm sorry. Um, second class citizen speech at the First Baptist Church. Do you know about that? I know you were young at the time,
Y-
but do you know, did you hear anything later
Yes,
that would kind of that you could speak on?
I believe that was at one of the civil rights rallies that was held at one of the larger churches, Black churches in Roanoke, Virginia. And that was a mass meeting that was attended by over 600 to 800 people. And at that time, he was trying to confront complacency
Okay.
in the Black community. That it's not okay that we be complacent about second class citizenship, that we sometimes have to have a little friction, because friction is what moves us forward. And that had to deal with, truly believe, the education system, because Brown versus Board of Education was settled, I think, like in 1954. It was the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court had 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 demanded that, or basically um, regulated that all schools be integrated. And it's 1963, and Virginia still has segregated schools. And so that meeting was to rile everyone up, to get everyone on board with the protests that needed to be done to integrate Roanoke.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to do some more research into it uh, because again, we know the I have a dream speech and such, and but I will say that to me, in reading what I've read about your dad, um, shows us of what we're lacking today, and I'll say post Barack Obama. I think,
I agree with you.
right, we don't have those charismatic personalities. We don't have those polarizing figures in our communities. We have them here or there, but um, I don't want to say too little, too late.
Mhm.
And again, I'm trying not to get political with this current environment that we live in, and I have views about it.
You too.
But um, we were young and seeing some things as we were coming up. Me less so in Baltimore, but I traveled a lot to my second home of Pensacola, Florida, and I used to catch the train, so I would get off in Atmore, Alabama. So I didn't see it, but it was there. Uh,
Mhm.
not that it was directed toward me, I'll say that. I saw it was there.
Mhm.
But again, uh, your father did things with a firm but um, gentle manner, I guess that's
Mhm. Yes.
much in the way Dr. King did. But like I said, we in this community, I don't see a lot of those type people there anymore. I think Barack was that way for us.
Yes.
Um, and though it would have been nice to have Harris there, um, it would be um, good to see some people stepping up because right now the loudest voices are females. They're black
Mm-hmm.
and they're female, or they're a minority and they're female. But the
Mm-hmm.
loudest voices at this time to me are female. So
And it's complacency.
right. And I heard that and it makes sense that second class citizen. And
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, we it's everywhere now.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere now. And it's not the only reason that some people are in their positions,
Mm-hmm.
but it is one of the things that could be better in our way of life. So I only have two more questions, and I am going to definitely um, point people in the direction of the website so they can learn a little bit more about your dad. And um, he was probably one of many and dotted in the different states. But I just saw a very amazing person in what your father is. So let's talk about you being the child of such a person. So, what is the fondest memory you have of your father?
The fondest memory I have of my father is um, the dinner table. The dinner table was always fun. Um, it was always laughter. Um, and he loved poetry. He loved reciting poetry. He loved having us as an audience at the table so he could recite poetry to us. Um, he liked singing, and we just had a lot of good times and laughs at the dinner table. I can even remember, and I was very young. I was younger than 5 years old, and one evening we was having dinner, and a gunshot came through the dining room window, right past my father's head, and missed. So some white person had rode past the street and shot the gun in the house. Um, so no one was hurt. It just cracked the window, and but he was very upset about that. And I think after that instance, and I'm not sure when, but my father would carry a gun with him. He would carry a gun with him in the car. Um, because a lot of nights, like I said, he was out at night. And so he wasn't afraid to use that or to protect himself. And and the other best times is just being out in public with him. If he wanted to take us to the mall to get us some shoes or buy us something, we had to wait for him to speak to two or three, four people, and he always stopped and talked to everyone. He always stopped and talked to everyone. And it was like, oh, Reverend Wilkinson, oh, Reverend Wilkinson. And it was like, I felt like I had to share him all the time because, and so I got used to it. Um, and Saturday mornings were special. Saturday mornings, he loved going to the farmer's market early because he's a country boy. He likes getting his vegetables and his meats. He was a very good cook. And he learned some of his cooking techniques in the military. He taught my mother how to cook and his second wife how to cook. So I enjoyed getting up and going to the market with him, but it took so long because he would stop at every stand and hold a conversation with all the business owners. It was crucial, so crucial and important to him to stay networked with the people in the community and what people were experiencing and going through. And that was a fond memory of mine because I liked seeing him console people or tell people things are going to be better or suggest to them this, that, or that, or he knows someone else and he'll get them. He was always networking. And so those were my fond memories.
Good. Okay. So, um, how old were you when your dad passed?
I was 30 something, 30 something. Mm-hmm.
Got to spend a
He
good,
died in 93. And yeah, I was about 30 something.
okay. So, being the daughter of such a civil rights pioneer, even though it was just in that area, but again, it takes those little things to build up into the bigger things. Um, and I like what you said about how he would stop and speak to everybody because way before they used the term networking, that's exactly what that was.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
they could talk to him and share things with him, and that in turn, I would imagine, helped him do the job that he was doing,
yes,
and
yes.
feeling that it was worthwhile to help these people. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, I like that. But being um, because you were into your adulthood before he passed, so you saw dad, and I'm almost 100% positive you were daddy's girl if I remember
Yes,
pictures
yes.
for Father's Day. But I guess I'm trying to see if I'm going to ask the question, and you can answer it to the point or from the reference point that he was your father, or you can answer it from the point that he was a civil rights pioneer, or both. But if you were to say what your biggest takeaway was having him as a father, what would you say? What would be that biggest takeaway? And it doesn't have to be confined to just dad or the civil rights person or both, but if you were to say what was the biggest takeaway or what did he instill in you that you still carry to this very day?
And I can answer that.
Okay.
Tenacity. And nobody messes with me.
Well,
um,
nicest person. I can't see anyone messing with you, but
uh, let's 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 um let's say that my employment career, and I have 15 years of working in law firms and 20 something plus years of working with federal government agencies, um, state agencies, city agencies, as well as private corporations.
okay.
In those environments, um, where situations regarding DEI, since we now have a term for it, so to speak,
Right.
I never rolled over. If you, okay, let me just give you an example. I worked for Blue Cross Blue Shield for 5 years.
Okay.
I was discriminated against. I went to work every day with a strategy. And that strategy allowed me to stay there 5 years. I was put in basically a silo type of work environment so that things could be pointed at me when they needed to be. And I'm a professional. I do good work. You can have a plan to get me, but it ain't going to get me because Reverend Wilkinson was my father. I'm a strategist. And while you are playing checkers, I am playing chess. I can't tell you how many meetings I had over at HR with Blue Cross Blue Shield staff and my managers, all sitting around me to intimidate me. My father has taught me to always ask questions. You are not the tail, but the head. And they'll have to wake up real early in the morning to get you because I'm already 2 steps ahead of you. And I left Blue Cross Blue Shield with an EEO suit and a settlement.
Good.
So any problem or situation or quagmire or dilemma, I know how to strategize myself the way out of it
Good.
without being harmed.
I can relate. I can relate. We won't get into me, but I can relate
Yes.
those terms. So that was good.
Yeah.
So I'd like to thank you for sharing your dad with us. Uh,
Thank you.
I think that there's so many hidden gems out there, uh, and so many hidden gems in people out there that if I never asked for a Father's Day picture, I wouldn't have never known. So
Mhm.
I really appreciate you sharing your dad with us and
And
for,
I appreciate you for allowing me this time to talk about him.
well, I do know that sometimes that's a bomb on our souls sometimes talking about the people that have raised us um, and that have been special in our lives. So I'm hoping that it's making you feel good because it's making me feel good that it's making you feel good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
So
you.
I really appreciate you coming on tonight. Well, it's tonight that we're
Mhm.
recording this. I don't, we'll
Yes.
it soon. But I appreciate you coming on and sharing yourself and your family with us.
Thank you, Spence.
All right, you take
Brother
all
in
right.
Christ. Love you.